Would you spend your whole life, 50 years in prison, wrongfully accused, and then come out if you were going to get, well, we'll give you $7 million. I haven't done the math. I could pull out my calculator and tell you what that is per year. Update here, Oklahoma City to pay $7 million to exonerated inmate. He didn't do it. Per the Associated Press, Edmond City, Oklahoma has agreed to pay more than $7 million to 71-year-old Glynn Ray Simmons. He was 21 when he went in. Former death row inmate, which should be worth double the money just because you were on death row for part of it. He was exonerated after nearly 50 years in prison, making him the longest serving inmate to be declared innocent of a crime. The Edmond City Council voted without comment on August 12th to settle the lawsuit filed against the Oklahoma City suburb and a former police detective for $7.15 million. If ever you needed to comment, baby, I do need to hear from you about this one. Without comment, you're just going to let the money speak? Somebody needs to comment.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Mr. Simmons spent a tragic amount of time incarcerated for a crime he did not commit, his attorney, Elizabeth Wang, said in a statement. Although he will never get that time back, the settlement with Edmond will allow him to move forward with his life. I would have said with the rest of his life, what's left of his life.
Yeah.
Lawsuit makes similar claims against Oklahoma City and a retired Oklahoma City detective who also investigated the robbery and shooting, which are not affected by the settlement and remain pending. Good. Spokesperson for Oklahoma City said that the city does not comment on pending litigation. I can probably find a bunch of cases where that's not true. When it's in their interest to do so, they'll comment. I'm just telling you, I'm a journalist. I'm just telling you that. Lawsuit alleges police falsified a report by stating that a witness who was wounded in the shooting identified Simmons and co-defendant Don Roberts as the two who robbed the store and shot the clerk. Lawsuit also alleges police withheld evidence that the witness identified two other people as suspects. I have to stop there. That's a horrific crime. And by the way, what about the real killer? Or what about the real who's opening fire? It's bad enough, falsified a police report, withheld evidence. What about the real perp? You're not, the community is not safe. Not with you guys on the job. Simmons was released from prison in July 2023 after a judge vacated the conviction and sentence and ordered a new trial. District Attorney Vicky Bahina announced in September that she would not retry the case because there's no longer physical evidence against Simmons. Doesn't sound like there ever was. How about don't retry the case because someone falsified a police report and withheld evidence? Per prior reporting back in December, a judge exonerated Simmons, stating there was clear and convincing evidence he did not commit the crime. Simmons has also received $175,000 from the state of Oklahoma for wrongful conviction. I almost want him to say, keep your money, but that, every little bit counts. Simmons served 48 years, 1 month, 18 days, making him the longest in prison U.S. inmate to be exonerated. That's according to the data by the National Registry of Exonerations. Simmons, who has maintained that he was in Louisiana at the time of the crime, and Roberts were both convicted of the murder of the liquor store clerk Carolyn Sue Rogers. They were sentenced to death. Their sentences were reduced to life in prison in 1977 after U.S. Supreme Court rulings related to capital punishment, and Roberts was released on parole in 2008. I'll give you the floor, Jackson. I'm disgusted by what was done in a life that was not allowed to be lived free. But I'm disgusted by the present day reaction to it. It's very lackluster for what was done to this man.
Yeah, very lackluster, very sweeping under the rug. I mean, I'm 32 years old. This man has been locked up so long. The institutionalization, I don't know if he'll ever be able to break out of it. $7 million is not enough. I mean, $7 million is a lot of money, but not really. Not for 50 years spent behind bars when you were innocent. I mean, what are you really going to do with that? Or how much can you buy with that? How much can you invest with that? I mean, not much. You know, they 20 million, 30 million, 50 million. I don't know what his number should be, but $7 million is not enough. I don't know, what is he supposed to do with his life? Who's going to hire him? Is he even, what skills does he have? Like, his whole life was robbed from him. Anything that he could have done, anything that he could have been, any type of retribution that he could have made was completely stolen from him because the justice system just didn't care. And $7 million really is a slap in the face. It really
Slap in
is.
the face. It's a slap in the face.
It really is.
And I got to tell you something. They're so protective. These laws, you only get the little teeny bit, penny on the dollar, if that, probably less than that, when a man is wrongfully convicted. Just like there's no statute of limitations for murder. Why is there one when someone's murdered and it's discovered that the police lied and cheated and withheld evidence? I'd like to see people charged in those cases and stop pretending that, it's just going to thwart the work of good police. They're not going to be able to investigate. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about willful acts. And if somebody else can take the fall for you, why shouldn't you be subjected to some court scrutiny by a jury, a prosecutor? Why shouldn't you have to face them down? That's just my opinion.
50
Christian
years,
nationalist. Man. Yeah. What'd you say, Jackson?
I'm just shaking my head at how long he was imprisoned. Like, that's I'm 32. Like, he's been in prison 18 years longer than I've been alive.
And even though he was exonerated in December, I believe, it took till September for him to get out. Okay. You'd think it'd be an urgent matter at this point.